All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Before we get started, just a couple of those normal housekeeping items here. We will have time for questions at the end of the presentation. You can type those in by either doing the Q&A chat or the actual chat section in the lower portion of your control panel. We will be posting a recording of the webinar on our blog. The link for that will be shown at the end. And if you would like a PDF copy of the presentation, there will also be a link to download that on that same post as the recording. If your question does not get answered today, or if you think of any others, please email our support inbox, which will be shown at the end as well. Okay, pretty straightforward agenda for today. Food to fuel your mind. There are lots of connections when it comes to what you eat and how you feel, and not just physically, mentally as well. We will touch on the best foods for your brain on the physical side and also on the mental side. And to help you get started, I'm going to share a couple recipes as we go along as well. All right, let's jump right in. I'm going to start with one that I feel like is fairly well known for brain benefits, and that is fatty fish. 60% of our brain is made of fat. And half of that fat is made up of omega-3 fatty acids, and fish are a great source of these fats. Our body does not make enough omega-3s, so we need to get them from food. These fats are part of our cell membranes, and they help communication between cells, and they're very concentrated in our brain. Hence the benefit of eating foods containing them regularly for our brain's physical health, right? But there's also studies pointing to the benefits in mental health as well. There are three main types of omega-3 fats: EPA, DHA, and ALA. EPA and DHA are both found in fish. There are studies pointing to EPA specifically helping with depression and dementia. So lots of good reasons to get in those healthy fats. And like I said, fish is a good source. Now, all fish have some omega-3 fatty acids in them, but some at the top of the list include mackerel, salmon, herring, anchovies, sardines, tuna. There isn't an official daily recommendation of how much omega-3s to get in. While it's not official, the recommendations are typically around 250 to 500 milligrams per day for the average person. There is some evidence that higher amounts can actually help with specific conditions like heart disease, and for our topic today, things like depression and anxiety. So chat with your doctor to learn more about those situations if you fall into one of those categories. Now, basically, eating fish just a couple days a week can usually get you close or above what that average is, the 250 to 500 milligrams per day, depending on which fish you choose. The fish I just mentioned, for example, have over 1,000 milligrams per serving. Serving size is usually about 4 ounces, or the size of a deck of cards. Now, if you don't like fish, or if you can't eat fish for whatever reason, I'm going to get to some other foods, I promise. So you guys are already chatting about it. There are other sources of good fats that I'm going to get to here in just a minute, so be patient with me. But for the fish, again, great source if you can, if you like it, if you're able to get some in. So let's throw in a recipe right away here. Now, for these recipes, I'm not going to stay on the slides for a super long time. If you're able to screenshot, please go ahead. Otherwise, we will have the slides available for download on the blog post once we get that posted. All right. Okay. So I went with tuna first because it's easy and requires zero prep, a great option for lunch, I typically would say. And while you can eat tuna by itself, you can add in some more healthy ingredients with this tuna salad, for example. We substitute Greek yogurt instead of mayo for this one. And then you throw in some celery, onion for some bonus veggies. And again, you can eat this alone, or you can throw it on some whole grain bread or toast, make a sandwich out of it. And then I did throw in an easy baked salmon recipe for you all as well. Try these. Try others that you find. There's millions of recipes out there. Just make it a goal. If you're able to, again, if you like fish, if you want to give it a try to get more in during the week. It's just a really, really good source for our brain. And that's what we're talking about today, foods for that brain health, right? Like I said, if you don't like it, we'll talk about some other sources of those good fats here as we go through. Okay, but next food is actually veggies. Studies have shown that nutrients in leafy greens specifically can slow the speed at which the brain ages. That's kind of a big deal, right? Vitamin K is one of the main reasons of this, that they think has a major role. And the reason is its role in regulating calcium in the brain. One study looked at the diets in those with early stage Alzheimer's. They found that those diagnosed with Alzheimer's consumed considerably less vitamin K than the control group. There was also a study that found those with lower levels of vitamin K have dysregulated calcium in their brains, which makes sense, right? That's the function of vitamin K. But that specifically is what caused some of the damage done to the brain in Alzheimer's. So that's why they think vitamin K is such a big deal. And more research is going to be done, right? But knowing that this is a possible link should be pretty convincing reason to get in some of these veggies. So like I mentioned, leafy greens, so things like kale, spinach, collards, broccoli, and others have big amounts of that vitamin K specifically. They also have some other nutrients, lutein, folate or folic acid, sometimes you hear it, and then beta carotene in veggies, along with their just general antioxidant properties, which I'm going to touch on what that is in a minute. But all of those things are thought to slow our brain's cognitive decline as well. So lots and lots of reasons to get in your veggies for your brain specifically. Cruciferous veggies are in that same category as the leafy greens, basically. Broccoli falls into both categories. That's why I have it listed twice here, along with veggies like Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. So these have vitamin K and folate as well. Folate or folic acid is actually a B vitamin, in case you're just curious on that. And as far as brain benefits go, folate reduces homocysteine levels, which is an amino acid that's linked to degenerative brain disorders. So we want to lower that, and folate is a good way to do that. Yes, Google, please. These are not the only options. Someone just said romaine lettuce also has good vitamin K. These are definitely not the only sources of some of these nutrients. I just did the main ones. Otherwise, we'd be here for 3 hours today, right? So do your own research, find what you like, and see if you can get more in your diet. All right, a couple other veggies I want to add before we move on. Orange and red veggies, carrots, red peppers, butternut squash have that beta carotene that we hear, right? Which is another antioxidant that helps our brain stay healthy. Beets has been shown to actually improve blood flow to the frontal lobe of our brain. And this area is actually associated with things like decision-making and working memory. Beets, I feel like, are another kind of one of those we hear as superfoods, and for good reason, especially for our brain. So get in some more of those if you can. The thing to remember about veggies in any healthy food for that matter is that it needs to be a consistent thing, right? So the general recommendation is 2 to 3 cups per day on average for veggies, leafy greens. So try to get in as much as you can, but it's really the consistency, right? You don't only have to eat veggies to be healthy. You don't have to, rabbit food is what I hear a lot. You don't only have to eat veggies to be healthy, but you are only going to get the benefits that we've talked about as long as you keep eating them, right, on a regular basis. So it doesn't have to be a lot, and it just has to be consistent. So do what you can. And so there's lots of ways to eat veggies, right? Someone said beets are good in salad. They love to roast veggies. And that's what I did. Roasting is some of my favorite ways to do veggies because it's just easy a lot of times. And I am all about the easy. So for this one, I just grabbed one with broccoli and carrots, you simply chop them up, you throw some olive oil, salt and pepper. You can add garlic and lemon to flavor these ones up. But yeah, raw veggies, roasted veggies, you know, put them in smoothies. There's lots of different ways to get in your veggies. Again, do your research, find what works for you. You might not like it tasting a certain way, but if you add different spices, if you prepare it a different way, you're going to surprise yourself at how much you actually like a lot of these veggies, right? Especially the leafy greens. I feel like people have a tough time. You know, you're either not a salad person or you don't like the taste. Try different things, see how you can incorporate these in to your day and your week. All right. And so what do we hear with veggies from we're 2 years old on? Fruits, right? Fruits and veggies. Get your fruits and veggies. But specifically for brain health, fruits are really, really good as well. Berries specifically have some great benefits for our brain. So blueberries, other deep colored berries, which is most of them, right, have compounds that have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. I'm going to dive into this. I know I've said these a couple times already, so let's define them a little bit better. So on a basic level, anti-inflammatories help prevent inflammation, right? Anti-inflammatory, right? In our bodies and our brains. So inflammation specifically, again, I'm not going to get too deep, but it just basically can lead to all sorts of physical and mental problems. So really anything that helps lower, anything that's anti-inflammatory is going to be a plus. Now, antioxidants, which again, I know I've mentioned a couple times, can prevent what is called oxidative stress to our brain cells. So oxidative stress just means that there's an imbalance of what we call free radicals and antioxidants in our bodies. So free radicals are what we're going to consider the bad guys. And when there are more than antioxidants can control in our bodies, they can start to do damage. Free radicals come from just negative things. It can come from pollution. It can come from different negative foods that we're eating. It can come from, just lots of different sources. But if we're eating foods that have antioxidants, those can balance out those bad things in our body. The oxidative stress lowers and we're healthier. So I don't want to get too sciencey, but I want to add a little bit because I think it's important to know the why behind this stuff. Oranges are another fruit that can be connected to brain health as well. So vitamin C, not just for getting over colds, brain health as well. It's been found to be helpful with things like focus, memory, attention, and decision speed, which I think is pretty cool. Vitamin C is an antioxidant, which we discussed is super helpful with the brain specifically. And actually the concentration of vitamin C in our brain is actually a lot higher than the rest of our body. So when we get in good amounts of vitamin C, it's going to benefit that brain, which is what our goal is for today. Avocado is another one. This is another one of those that I think we know, right? That's healthy, but why is it healthy? For our brain specifically, it's got that healthy fat that we're looking for. It has monounsaturated fat, which keeps healthy blood flow to the brain. Avocados also can help lower blood pressure, and blood pressure is actually a risk factor for a decline in our brain, our cognitive abilities. So when we keep our blood pressure under control, we're helping our brain. As far as how much avocado, it just goes within that servings of, the five per day, right, of fruits and veggies. And a lot of people think avocado is veggies, and I was one of those people as well. Avocados are technically a fruit. So we want to shoot for 5 total servings, like I just said, of fruits and veggies combined. So it doesn't matter. Try to vary it up, right? Because these different foods between these ones and our veggies, they all have a little bit different, some overlapping benefits, but different as well. So try to change it up as much as you can. And then 1 serving for fruits is typically 1 cup of raw. So it depends on how they are, how you eat them, but you can look up the actual serving sizes for any of the veggies and fruits that you're eating too. Okay. Here's our recipe for our fruits. This one is so yummy, I promise. Strawberry and avocado salad. So this has a balsamic vinegar dressing. It's got some strawberries. You can throw other berries in here too. That's the thing. You can throw whatever you want in there, and it's still going to be good. And then it's got some pecans, some basil, which is actually brain healthy as well, that I'm going to touch on here in a couple slides. So just lots of good stuff. Fresh, yummy. I think spring, when I think a recipe like this, spring and summer. So just one other thing to try. Again, there's lots of other ways to eat fruits as well. So just one option. All right, here you go. Coffee and tea lovers. Caffeine and antioxidants found in coffee and some teas can help support brain health. So caffeine, right, helps keeps us alert, which we know this, right? It does this actually by blocking a chemical called adenosine, which makes us feel sleepy. So it actually blocks that, right? Caffeine can also boost some of those feel-good hormones we have, like dopamine. Studies have also found it helps with short-term attention, which I think we don't need a study to tell us that, right? We can get focused if we have some caffeine. Long-term studies show coffee specifically is linked to a reduced risk of neurological diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Now, here's where I'm gonna throw in some caveats here, one now and one in another minute. The largest reduction was in those that drank 3 to 4 cups per day. All right. By cups, you can consider each cup as around 8 ounces. You'll find different philosophies with like the cups. Some say 6, some say 8. So I'd say 8 at the max is considered a cup, right? So let me highlight, right? 3 to 4 8-ounce cups per day for those benefits. It's not the more the better. With coffee, specifically tea, that I don't think people overdrink that too much, and it's not going to give you as much of a problem. But with my coffee drinkers, let's be careful with that. Okay, just be mindful. And as far as tea goes, I'm just going to highlight green tea today. Other teas have great benefits, but for the brain health, I just want to highlight green tea. It does have the antioxidants that also help with that mental decline, but it also has a couple other little wow factors for the brain. It has an amino acid called L-theanine, which increases the activity of a neurotransmitter, which actually helps reduce anxiety. It can help you feel relaxed. It also increases the frequency of alpha waves in our brain, which helps you relax, but you don't get that tired feeling, which is that's what we want, right? And to top it off, there's some studies that connect green tea with memory improvement in general. So around the same recommendation as the coffee, 3 to 5 cups per day for tea. So right around 3 to 4 to 5 cups per these is ideal. Again, more is not necessarily better when we're talking. So just be mindful. Here's my second caveat with tea and coffee, probably more specifically, you knew it was coming. If you're drinking coffee or tea that's loaded with sugar and maybe other stuff, those things, they can negate some of those positive effects, right? So we will talk about some foods that are not great for our brain here in a bit, and you can bet sugar is going to be at the top of that list, right? So while I understand black coffee or plain tea isn't everyone's favorite, just do what you can to lower the additives, okay? So for example, I'm a green tea drinker. Fresh or crystallized lemon in my green tea is an example of a flavoring that doesn't add sugar, things like that. So again, lots of different options that you can do. Just really be mindful to not negate some of those good benefits. All right. Also, before I go, or before we get off this slide, keep in mind that some people are actually much more sensitive to caffeine specifically. So really monitor yourself on how much you're drinking and how much it's affecting you. Okay, so maybe you can only do a couple cups per day, and that's okay. There's lots of other ways to get healthy brain foods and drinks in. If you need way more than that 3 to 5 cups, I think I've already called you guys out. I apologize. But just remember that 8-ounce cups, 4 to 5 is max, and just maybe start to cut back gradually if you can. So just a couple extra things to be mindful of. Stevia is a good question. That's typically known as one of the best options for kind of a sweetener. So I would say stevia is on the more green light side versus sugar, which is fully red light. All right, nuts and seeds are next. You hear heart healthy a lot with nuts, right? But they're actually brain healthy a lot as well. There's plenty of studies that support this connection. They have the healthy fats that we've already talked about. So if you don't like fish, look at nuts and seeds as another option here. Nuts also have those antioxidants and vitamin E. Vitamin E has actually been looked at with studies with Alzheimer's, and the results are positive. Some of the nuts that have, I would say, the most benefits, if you will, walnuts, almonds, pistachios, cashews. Be careful with this. Try to get, the raw, you can do roasted, but try not to get too many, again, added stuff on there. Try to do as close to that natural as possible, like my squirrel friend here, who's just having his walnut and enjoying his day. And then seeds are fantastic as well. Many of the seeds that I'm listed here not only have antioxidants, but also have things like magnesium, zinc, vitamin K, which we've already talked about. Zinc works with nerve signaling, and deficiencies of it are linked with depression, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Magnesium, that's a big one. It's essential for a lot of things in our body, but actually for mental health, learning, and memory, it's actually really important with that. And low levels are linked to depression, but also low levels of magnesium are linked in some people, again, not everyone, with things like migraines and epilepsy even. So just some things with that. Some of the healthiest seeds are going to be pumpkin, flaxseed, chia, hemp, pine nuts, yes, technically a seed, and pomegranate. So someone said peanuts. Peanuts are great too. They have healthy benefits. I typically just list like the best bang for your buck too, as far as is what I'm choosing to do here. Peanuts typically, I feel like there's a lot of things that happen with peanuts that get processed in the process of packaging and stuff. So just be careful. Look at the ingredients, make sure there's not a bunch of stuff added. Okay. All right. Let's see. So, and I think I said someone mentioned it already. The great thing about nuts and seeds is their flexibility. You can eat them alone as a snack, but they're super easy to add to other things as well. Someone shouted out salad. Yogurt, you can mix them in with that. You can add them on top of peanut butter toast. You can add them to smoothies, even, especially seeds like your flaxseed, your chia seed, that type of thing. So many possibilities. Sunflower seeds are great too. They just weren't on my top of my top list, right? Any seeds, any nuts, as long as they're in their natural, are going to give you some of these benefits. These are just the biggest ones. So as far as how much, 4 to 6 servings per week is a general recommendation. So a fourth of a cup is a serving. Again, that's going to change a little bit depending on which type you're eating. Flaxseed, chia seeds are a lot smaller than your pumpkin seeds and those types of things. So just, check online as far as what a serving size is and go from there. All right, herbs and spices. There's lots of benefits with herbs and spices specifically. So again, more than I'm going to list here, but there's lots that can help with brain health specifically. Turmeric is a spice that's been a lot more mainstream in recent years, and for good reason. The active ingredient is curcumin, and this can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning that it can directly enter the brain and have beneficial effects on the cells in there. It's an antioxidant, it's an anti-inflammatory. Studies have linked it to improve memory in those with Alzheimer's. It can boost serotonin and dopamine, those feel-good chemicals that improve our mood. It can also boost a growth hormone that helps our brain cells grow. So lots of interesting things with turmeric and the curcumin. One note, the studies typically are more concentrated supplements. So there's still benefits of using them in regular life and recipes. But if you know someone that has Alzheimer's or diagnosed depression, have them chat with their doctor to see about supplementation for those types of situations, because it seems to be a concentrated dose for some of those diagnoses, again, can be really helpful. So again, not for everyone, not for the normal, I would say everyday person, which is you're still going to get benefits as well, but those doses can be higher and have benefits in those situations. All right, rosemary has been seen in some studies to help fight off those free radicals that I've been talking about, anti-inflammatory properties. Basil, which was in our strawberry salad from earlier, has magnesium and flavonoids, which are linked to better brain health. Peppermint, that's an interesting one. Actually, the scent, smelling peppermint, has been shown for some people to help mental fatigue, memory, and concentration. So if you feel like it helps, have that around at that 2 o'clock feeling, right? That comes up. So thought that was an interesting one. And then sage has vitamin K that we now know is great for our brain as well. So again, many others. Do your research, and the amounts needed for benefits, they're going to vary, right? But again, any time that you're using these beneficial things, no matter how much, you're still moving yourself in the right direction, right? As far as if you're on specific medications and eating some of these foods, or if you're thinking about supplementation, that's always going to be a question for your doctor. Everyone's different as far as what our body needs and what other things may affect it. So please chat with doctor before you're thinking about adding in a bunch of supplements or anything like that. So there's got a question on that. So just be mindful of that too. All right, I just want to add in a few miscellaneous. I'm running short of time here. That usually happens. So a couple extra ones here to think about. Eggs, folate, which I've mentioned is in eggs. A couple B vitamins that are linked to brain health in eggs. B6 and B12. B12 deficiency is linked to depression. B6 is linked to dementia, Alzheimer's, and cognitive decline. Choline is another micronutrient in eggs that your body uses to make a certain neurotransmitter, which helps regulate mood and memory. Now, the yolk is where that's the highest concentrated, so make sure you're eating that yolk. Dark chocolate. Look at the first word, dark chocolate, right? You have to have at least that 70 or greater of the cocoa content to get the benefits of chocolate specifically. Flavonoids are the main benefit for your brain. I've said this once, but those are actually the antioxidant plant compounds, and they're linked to memory and learning. And so for dark chocolate, we want to keep our amounts to 1 to 2 ounces per day. All right. Water. I mean, water is just such an important part of our overall health, so it should come as no surprise that it's essential for mental health as well. It not only helps our brain function in general, dehydration or not drinking enough water may actually increase the risk of anxiety and depression. There's studies that link those things. Again, lots of other, factors go into that, but if this is one that you can control, right, how much water you drink. So grab those water bottles. I've got mine in my hand right here. Fill them up when you're done chatting, or when I'm done chatting at you today. Oils, these fall into that healthy fat category that we've already touched on quite a bit. Again, not the only options, but coconut, extra virgin olive oil are probably some of the more common options. Again, healthy fats. We talked, if you're not a big fish fan, this is another option to get in some of those healthy fats. And then, of course, the ever-present question, I've already got a couple that I've seen come through here, supplementation. For all of the nutrients that I mentioned today, there is a supplement option, of course, right? So I will only say that in general, it's typically recommended to get nutrients from foods. Some of the benefits here will only come from the food options. It just helps, our body processes it better typically if we're getting it from a food option. But again, supplementation might have to be the way you go, and that's okay. You can supplement to fill in the holes, so you can still get some benefits. Do your research on whether it's actually effective in supplement form. Talk to your doctor, especially if you're on any other medications or supplements, to make sure that there's nothing that's going to interact negatively. But again, overall, let's try to get in more food options if we can. Okay. Foods to maybe stay away from. I already mentioned sugar. That's at the top of my list. It can lead to type 2 diabetes, which is known to increase risk of Alzheimer's. Even in people without diabetes, higher sugar levels can increase the risk of brain issues, dementia, things like that. Refined carbs, so white bread, white flour, those types of things, as opposed to a whole grain option. These foods can raise our blood sugar levels, just like that straight sugar in our diets. Trans fats, these are banned technically in the US. There can still be trace amounts in highly processed foods. And that's my next on the list, right? So your prepackaged meals, sweets, chips are considered more of those highly processed foods. So there's lots of studies that you can see that link processed foods to health issues, specifically brain health as well. I just saw an article on Monday that talked about fried potatoes, specifically like French fries, and how it's linked to poor mental health. So just be mindful of processed foods in general. And if you aren't mad at me already, or mad enough at me already for what I've listed, this last one's probably going to get the rest of you, right? Alcohol. So here's where we are with this. When consumed in moderation, alcohol is not necessarily a bad thing, right? If you don't drink, don't start. But if you do, and if you keep it in moderation, you're likely to be fine, right? But chronic use of alcohol can cause a lot of issues with the brain. People with alcoholism specifically are usually deficient in vitamin B1, and this can lead to a domino effect that can lead to a syndrome that has side effects like memory loss, confusion on the brain side, and that's not to mention the other physical issues in the rest of our body, right? This is just brain health we're talking about today. Even those one-off drinking evenings can cause issues. Our emotional cues change when we drink. Right? You probably know someone that falls into this category. You kind of become a different person. And so while this typically goes back to normal once you sober off, doing something while you're drinking that you regret may cause long-term damage to mental health, right? Because you just have other issues that come up. So again, no lecturing here. Well, it sounded like a lecture, so I apologize, but just be mindful with the alcohol. And so with the foods to avoid, let me be clear here. I'm not saying you have to avoid these foods forever and altogether. Just be realistic with yourself, looking to cut down on these foods while increasing some of the whole food options, the other options that we talked about. It's just going to help you go in the right direction, right? Bigger percentage of healthier foods, moderation, moderation, moderation with everything, right? Okay, let's wrap it up. Basically what I just said, there's many healthy foods that are going to give you benefits for your brain and your mind. Most of them have other benefits to your body and brain as well. The key is consistency, right? The more you eat the healthier options, the better your body and mind will function and the better you're going to feel, right? You don't have to be perfect. You never ever have to be perfect. Just be consistent with getting in some good foods and you're going to feel better and you're going to want to continue it. I promise. All right, I apologize. I'm over by 2 minutes. Let's run real quickly. Next upcoming webinars. Next month is improving that Health Check 360 score. So this is just a general overall improvement in health. If you do screen with us and you have the scoring, we're just going to link it. I'm just going to link those good habits into how it can improve that score. Skin health is July. We haven't done a webinar on this actually, but your skin does say a lot about your health. So we're going to talk about some different things that you can do to be mindful of that skin health. And then if you do have lifestyle rewards, these are going to be the questions that you can answer. Most of you will not have to do this if you submit for the webinar for points, but if you do, then these will be the questions. Again, this can be on the slides that you can download that will be up within the next, hopefully, few hours. And then, of course, our contact information. We are on social media. The blog, this is where you're going to find the recording of this webinar that we're going to be on, and you can download those slides, like I said, and you can register for upcoming webinars on there as well, those last two that I just mentioned. And then you can give us a call or email us. We always are loving to chat. It's what we do. It's what we love, chatting about health. So give us a call, shoot us an email. We'd be more than happy to chat. If I didn't get to your question today, or if you have to hop off now, I'll stay for a couple minutes. But if you have to hop off, please reach out later if there's any questions that I missed. Okay. And if you do have to hop off, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful May, and everyone have a great day.